Hello, let's build some drums. This is a song from my old pop punk band from my late teens, early 20s. It is a song called Barbershop Quartet in Skokie, Illinois. Movie reference. Okay, let's see what we got here. I have some scratch guitar tracks, scratch bass track. All right, so I have a fill here for the beginning that I'm gonna chop up. So we're gonna go rack tom, floor tom. Yep, something like that. So this repeats a few times. But on the last one, there's going to be a cymbal hit as well. As well as the snare. Maybe a China hit? So for the verse, I need a kick drum hit here. Take this one out. Put one here. I want this to be a cymbal hit. And this part is going to be ride. But I actually want I'm gonna splice this one up instead. So I like the articulation to be a bell shank. I want the opening hit to be here. And I want this hit to be this. Okay, and then put a kick here. Yeah, so it'll go. We're gonna put a kick drum right here. Take this one out because I want there to be a bit of a punch here. Yeah. And we're gonna put a kick right here. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, we're gonna take that out, merge these, and we'll merge kind of all this together because this is one cycle measure of the verse. Put this here. I think I want to do that. I think. We'll see. Yeah. Put this here and we'll splice it up again. I really only need this. Oh, actually, what I can do. Yeah. So right now the hi-hat's just gonna ring. But if you wanted it to close after that hit, we could take this kick drum, take this hi-hat, and just lower the velocity all the way down, do like a tight edge. Yeah, that's a cool effect. So let's see. Yeah. Okay. So there's actually gonna be some drum stuff in the breaks here, and like the scratch guitars are a little out of time, so they might be a little distracting here. But oh no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. We are gonna. I just am gonna change this to a chorus. And I'm going to paste it here. Paste it here. And paste it here. So kind of the first and third breaks are going to have some drums. Yeah. Okay, so the okay, so this first break here, I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm actually gonna put for what I have in mind here, I'm gonna put a count in. And I'm gonna turn up the hi-hats just so I can hear them a little better. Yeah. So what I'm thinking is that this one is gonna be like really open. These two are gonna be something like, nope. Yeah. Cool. And then there'll be a hit here. So it'll go something like this. Yeah. And then this one will be a bit busier. This fill almost works, but not quite. It sounds kind of sloppy and out of place. So I'm going to splice it up a bit. Take this out. I'm actually going to make this a snare, I think. Yeah, okay. So I see what I need to do. I need to take this out. We'll leave the floor tom. We'll leave the kick drum. But we're going to move this all together away. And we're going to put in that. See how this sounds. Yeah. Cool. The only other thing is I'm going to put in a kind of a snare hi-hat hit on a couple of these. Put that one right there. Put this one right here. So let's see how this sounds all together. So these guitars are a bit out of time and not played well, but they are just scratch tracks. So when the drums are done, I'll have a better foundation for getting them tight and time to put it into. So there's a little transition in between this part and the next. That's going to be primarily on floor toms as the power hand. Cool. It's just got to be doubled here. And we need a good fill. See how this sounds. I like this part, but I want a more subtle roll coming out of it. And I have an idea. Okay, let's... see, this isn't really going to work all the way. So let's see if just increasing the velocity makes it work. I usually go overkill first and then back it up. Okay, so if we put a cymbal and snare hit there and took out this snare, this part might work. Just seems like there's a delay, huh? I'm gonna come back to this. I think it'll work. Yeah, I think this is gonna work. I think my mind's just playing tricks on me. One thing, or one problem that I have is I feel like everybody has a thing that they get hung up on, and I get hung up on timing really, really bad, and to the point to where sometimes things will sound out of time even though they're not. And what I need to do in that case is kind of step away either from the part or the song altogether and come back. So I'm just going to move on. So the next part is similar to the first verse, but not quite. So what I'm going to look for now is I need a 4 on the floor beat. Like that. Oh my God. So to match the strumming pattern of the bass, I'm going to take this kick drum out. Yep, and we're gonna still do the kick drum pattern, but I want it to be we're still gonna do the kick drum pattern for the second part, but same as before, I want it to be ride. So. And to match the strumming patterns again, I'm going to take this kick drum out. Yeah. Merge these. I'm going to say that this is a verse. And let's see how this sounds. Cool. And I am gonna do that same fill. Our drummer Josh, who was the original drummer for this song a long time ago, I'm trying to not do it exactly the way he did it, but there are some fills and vibes that he did that are, I think, vital to the feel of the song. And then this repeats. Probably change that fill, and there probably needs to be something in between the first and second here. we're going to do something real simple. I found a fill that I like, but I just want the very, very end of it. So we'll see how that sounds. It's not doing it for me. So what I'm gonna do, I have an idea. I just want the end of this though. In fact, not even the end. I want just these parts. Yeah. And I'm gonna take the kick drum out. And I would also say, building drums, sometimes you find yourself using similar fills, similar beats, but I mean, that's pretty accurate. People have fills that they tend towards. I'm actually going to add a hi-hat here and turn the velocity down to give this a... And then I'm actually going to turn that to there. Yeah, just adding that closed hi-hat with no articulation kind of pulls that last hi-hat in. So we'll actually take both of these. Put it right here. Nope. Put it right here. Yeah. I want there to be 2 hits here. I think I screwed something up here, everyone. Yep. Oh well, it's not easy to recreate this. One more time. Okay, so the fill for coming out of this might keep it pretty simple here. And just put this here and just a simple snare roll. So the next part's going to have clean guitars, but a similar kick drum pattern to what's been going on. I'm just going to color code this here. What we'll do instead is we'll make this a ride. And actually make this bow tip. I don't need an opening hit right there because this will all be one. Okay. I actually want to do a thing where the ride follows these kick drums here. So I can actually just copy this. Put one, let's see. Yeah, I want to put one right here as well. And increase the velocity on this second one just ooh, that's too much. Just like there. Nope. Oh my god. There we go, like 3. Just barely noticeable. And I'm hearing a need. I'm hearing a need for another snare hit right here. I can barely hear it. Sometimes when you add just a snare, the velocity on it is really low, so you gotta like crank it. Yeah, I like that. Another thing I'm hearing. Yeah. Yeah, so this will go here. I think those add some nice touches. There's not a need for this part to be very busy because the main focus will be the vocal. Coming out of it, we're going to have a floor tom snare accent. We'll just take this. Yep. So we'll put this here. We'll switch. And we'll put this here. We'll switch the power hand to crash cymbal. That got split up on accident. Put that there. Switch this to here. Okay. Yep, there we go. I'm gonna put a couple China accents here at the end of this. And we'll do the same thing for the end of this one, but it'll be floor tom hits instead of China cymbal hits. And then we're going to go into a floor tom part. So I like the way this sounds, and then we'll see. And in fact, these rack tom hits, I think I'd rather have it all I think I'd rather have it all be on the floor tom, so we'll, yeah. It's more in line with the original song. So we'll change all these rack tom things to floor tom. It's meant to be not as busy because the part coming up is kind of jarring, and even though there's the same amount of hits, adding the rack tom made it sound busier. So changing it to floor tom eases the crowding of it, so to speak. And then we'll put a couple snare hits. Yep. So I need just this hit here, and then a good floor tom snare kick thing. Increase the velocity on this a lot. Okay, so this part works, and then there's a couple hits. Let's see how this sounds. Yeah, so there's the accents. It's got to be, I think we'll put a okay, so we'll put a floor tom here. This is actually going to not be that. It's going to be, a hi-hat hit. And I'm going to do that velocity trick again here, where I'm going to make a closed edge, turn the velocity down, get rid of the snare. Just listening back to the old song, it actually starts with a snare and cymbal hit at the beginning of this part too. So we're gonna, yeah, I think this will sound better. It was just sounding a little off. And then I have an idea how to exit out of this part. Okay. And then coming out of it is like a little bit of a snare trill here. I think it'll sound better if we add a few. If we add at least one more floor tom hit here. Yep, and then I'm going to take this kick drum out. And And we'll put a kick drum here. There should be a kick drum there in that part that I can just, yep. Oh yeah, I think it's finally coming together, this part. So I think it's going to sound better if this part gets a little busier right as it builds in to the actual busy part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a floor tom hit to this, and then I'm going to paste a snare and hi-hat hit here. And there's actually, because I can expand this part, there's a hi-hat snare, floor tom, there's a hi-hat snare, kick drum, hi-hat snare, and then we're gonna add this little snare trill here, and that should get us to where we need to be. Yeah. Okay, so this part repeats. So we'll copy that there, and then this whole thing repeats. Okay, and then we're gonna go back to this part. In fact, I'm just gonna merge all this together because it's gonna be pretty much exactly the same. And just listening to this whole thing, the guitars are really dragging the thing down. I know that they're just scratch tracks, but it can influence building the drums if the scratch tracks are not. And listening to this, there's a lot of places where the scratch guitars are just really influencing the timing and making it sound out of time, even though I know objectively that the drums are in time. The guitars aren't in the pocket with the drums because they were performed to just a click. Okay. So this part is going to be an ending. So there's a few ring So we're going to put this here, and then I'm going to add a floor tom, or why do I keep saying floor tom? I'm going to put a kick drum hit there. Cool, and then the outro is fast kick drum pattern, but in half time. So actually have a little fill here. We're going to change this to outro. Can take this fill here. But we're not going to do the same. We're not going to do the same fill every time. So again, like I've said before, if I'm noticing anything's not working, especially once the guitars are fully locked in and tracked properly, and the bass is fully locked in and tracked properly, and vocals and all that kind of stuff, I will go through one more time and just make sure all these drum parts are working. It's just a benefit of working with MIDI drums, is I can alter the performance if I want to. This part here, I'm going to change to just floor tom hits instead of floor tom and rack tom. So the first one, do that. Put that there. Okay, so that's pretty much the song. We'll listen to it, and once I get guitars tracked and bass and vocals and stuff, I'll show you the whole thing. I'm realizing there should be a fill here. I was like, I can't hear the song without it. This is the one I'm looking for. So we'll put that here. I'm gonna put a kick drum hit here. Yeah. Yeah, it's just in that first one there. Okay, let's listen to the whole thing and see if anything jumps out as needing to be changed, but for the most part, should be at least in the ballpark. And once I have all the guitars tracked, the bass tracked, vocals tracked, and it's ready for mixing, I'll show it to you again with these drums that we've built in the context of the whole song. All right, y'all. See you next time.